Hello everyone. So today I want to talk a wee bit about achy joints, painful knees, maybe hips, maybe hands, things like that. And in particular, in my case, it's osteoarthritis. So if you suffer from achy joints, joint stiffness or swelling, pain, things like that, then today's live should be helpful and interesting for you. So I do and did suffer from really sore knees there for a while. So today's live chat is very personal to me, and I want to share with you what I think impacted a resurgence of the aches and the pains and the swelling in my knee recently, and what I think has helped. Okay, so why does stiffness and joint stiffness occur? A lot of the times it is with age, and stiff joints become a reality for many people, and it's really years of use can take their toll on joints and muscles and bones and things like that. And many people can experience this stiffness in joints just after waking up. And that's lying down for several hours to sleep really reduces the fluid around the joint. I'll talk a wee bit more about that in a minute. And that can make that movement kind of difficult. Moving joints difficult first thing in the morning. Now, for some people, it can be, quite mild and only impact mobility for a brief period of time. But for others, it can be more severe and impact your mobility. And the first thing I'll say here is, my tips are for managing pain and inflammation. But if it's, if it's a serious issue, and even just to get it investigated, definitely, go and see your doctor. So in some cases with that joint stiffness, you will get a very obvious pain and inflammation, right? And it can make walking or standing or putting weight in your joints really, really painful. And it's not always age related. It can be, something like arthritis or lupus. There's a condition called bursitis. There are loads of reasons why you could have these achy, stiff joints, apart from the fact that we're all just getting that wee bit older. Lifestyle factors, including diet and weight, can also impact on your joint mobility. So those are things to consider. So here's my story, right? So I've had sore knees, or dodgy knees as I call them, for ages, almost for as long as I can remember. I'd say for about 20 years or so, my knees have been kind of creaky. They really squeak when I bend, or if I'm going up and down stairs and it's quiet and you were walking behind me, you'd hear my knees. So it used to be my party trick. And I've generally been very active most of my life, and really only noticed the left knee particularly bad. A couple of times I was out skiing, so after a couple of days of hard skiing, I felt the pressure on the knee and saw a bit of swelling on it, had to ice it and things like that. Or if I'd done a particularly challenging hill walk, but it mostly subsided after that. So you could see the link between the pressure that I was putting on the joint with either the skiing or the challenging hill walk, the sore joint, and then I would either rest it or ice it, and it seemed to get a bit better. Okay, and I do recall having a conversation with the doctor about 10 years ago, maybe a bit longer. Got an x-ray. It was all very casual. It was indicated a bit of wear and tear. I think he might have mentioned osteoarthritis, but he didn't really alarm me, just said keep active, and that was it, which I did, and it didn't seem to get any worse. And I've done loads of walking, real extensive Camino walking, 800 kilometres across Spain and 500 kilometres across Portugal. And, it didn't really bother me again until the end of last year, whenever the knee started to become really painful, especially both knees, but especially the left knee. Really painful, noticeably swollen and quite warm to the touch. So headed back to the doctor, got more x-rays, confirmed osteoarthritis in both knees, and all of it kind of suddenly became a bit scary, because at that stage then it was impacting on my walking, and I thought, oh my gosh, is this the beginning and the end of this knee? And I have big walking plans for as soon as we get out of this lockdown, for a big 5-week Camino walk, as soon as we're allowed to travel. And I really want to do that kind of walking right through until I drop. Okay, so the doctor referred me for physio to give me some exercises, and I'm still waiting on that appointment. I'm sure it'll come, right? So at the same time, my kind of New Year stuff kicked in, right? I started to get back to healthy eating, had a goal of walking an hour a day or 5k a day, and within weeks the pain had kind of all but disappeared. No visible inflammation or heat, no discernible stiffness, an odd wee niggle, but nothing, definitely nothing to complain about. And that got me thinking, you know, what triggered this painful episode? You know, what was happening around that time? I hadn't done any skiing for sure. I hadn't been away on, you know, on any long walks around that. And I started working on my own timeline, which is what I would do with clients anyway. And towards the end of the year, hands up, own up, admit, I wasn't walking or exercising regularly. I would say for about between 4 and 6 weeks, I'd come right down to maybe an occasional walk, no yoga, no stretching, pretty much a lot of sofa surfing for one reason or another, Netflix. And as December came in and realised my son wasn't going to get home for Christmas, the mood wasn't great. And the whole Christmas sugar rush, increased sugar intake, refined carbohydrates, that all increased substantially. And I'm convinced now that that's what led to the flare-up. And also 100% sure that my New Year plans have had a significant impact on the improvement that I now feel. So my New Year habits were as follows. I had set out to walk 5 kilometers or an hour every day. Back to yoga at least once a week, and I'm now averaging about twice a week. Back to my normal healthy eating, okay? So, you know, cutting out, in the main, cutting out refined carbs and sugar. And I've also increased the number of plant-based meals that I have, which has led to a substantial increase in fibre intake. So, you know, that's kind of my story and where I'm at now, but not content that I was feeling better. I really do want to tick all the boxes and do everything I can to make sure that these knee joints serve me well so that I can walk the Camino when I'm 80, hopefully with my 2 granddaughters, Ava and Maeve. They don't know about that yet, but we'll keep our fingers crossed for that. So here's what some of the research says. Now, if you're overweight, first thing that always comes up is take steps to lose weight safely to reduce the impact on your joints. And when I say safely, I mean nutritiously, okay? So if you need some help with that, I'm your woman. So lose weight if you need to. Exercise is really important. Exercise and activity. And it doesn't have to be any mad kind of like gym stuff, although if that's your thing, there's nothing wrong with that either. But there are 4 kind of buzz types of exercise that you're looking to hit. Lubricate, exercises that lubricate the joints, aerobics, weight bearing and stretching. And I'm going to put a wee link in the comments to a super wee YouTube video from a physiotherapist that I have found to be really helpful for me, and I'm definitely starting to implement a lot of the exercises that she has suggested into my daily routine. Now, keeping the joints internally lubricated is one of the most important things that you can do. Whether you've got a diagnosis of something like osteoarthritis or something like rheumatoid arthritis, or whether you're just feeling aches and pains in your joints, keep this in mind, okay? The synovial fluid is produced by the joint when we move or when we put weight on it. And this fluid provides nutrition to the cartilage, and that cartilage is this thin layer which absorbs the shock and allows movement without friction. And whenever we start to get the pains and the aches and the stiffness and things like that, that's friction. So something's going wrong with the fluid. When the joints aren't moving, you aren't producing fluid. And not only that, the fluid that is there whenever you're not moving thickens. And there's a great example, you'll see it in this wee YouTube video that I share with you, is if you think about the difference between a nice fluid runny honey and one that has sat in the jar for ages and has crystallized and got all thick. That's the way your synovial fluid goes whenever you are kind of like lying in bed at night or lying on the couch, as I was, okay? So we need runny honey, we need runny fluid, and movement does that. So think about this: motion, is lotion. Okay, so it's kind of, you just want to keep that internal lubrication going with the joints. And as I said, I'm going to put that wee link in the comments. I'll put it in just a couple of minutes after I'm finished here. So there's lots of other great activity, daily things that you can do there, just with using a chair, using a wall, using the stairs, loads of different wee bits and pieces. So on to nutrition. Now, all the research shows that an anti-inflammatory diet will be the most supportive of any inflammatory condition, and osteoarthritis, any of those arthritic conditions, are all inflammatory conditions. So if you have pain and stiffness and aches, then you will have excessive and localized inflammation that you want to dampen down, and diet can either help with that or, as you saw in my case, can aggravate it. Okay, now if you want help following a focused anti-inflammatory diet, please do send me a message, get a wee appointment booked in with me. I can definitely help with that. So what should you eat generally? So I want to give you a couple of tips here anyway, right? What should you eat generally to stay healthy, to keep that inflammation down for something like osteoarthritis? So you're looking at a diet that is rich in fresh fruits and vegetables and whole foods. And not only will that help with the inflammation, but it'll help to boost and support your immune system and your overall health. And there's loads of evidence that these dietary choices can really help with inflammation. A plant-based diet. Now, it doesn't have to be completely plant-based. Mine's definitely is not completely plant-based, but plant-based in that you are having a good focus on plants. So a plant-based diet provides loads of antioxidants. So you'll probably, if you hear me talking about any other conditions, these antioxidants are really important for good health anyway, right? Which can help reduce inflammation. And how it does that is it helps to eliminate the free radicals that cause inflammation from the body. That all sounds very technical, but that's my business, okay? So plant-based diet, really what you're looking at there. You're also looking at trying to include things like anti-inflammatory herbs and spices. Let's look at something like turmeric, which is a real well-known one. Firing turmeric into everything. And I actually love now a nice wee warm drink in the morning, hot water, turmeric and lemon and a bit of ginger. Turmeric and ginger are fantastic for their anti-inflammatory properties. Things like garlic, cardamom is a good one, cinnamon, which is a favourite of mine, and black pepper. So those are all great anti-inflammatory herbs and spices that you can be adding to your meals from breakfast right through dinner and snacks. In my research, I also found two interesting studies, and not that long ago, it was 2017 actually, that followed knee pain in almost 5,000 adults aged between 45 and 79 who either had or were at risk of osteoarthritis. So, this is me, right? And it found that a high intake of dietary fibre is associated with a lower risk of developing moderate or severe knee pain over time. So, you always hear me banging on about fibre anyway, for all sorts of reasons, for your gut health, digestive health, for for it supports weight loss, for brain health, loads of things. So here we are now. It's going to help to keep that knee pain at bay. Definitely a winner for me. Looking at omega-3 fish oils, they are well studied in terms of their anti-inflammatory effects. So eating your oily fish, that's the likes of your salmon, your mackerel, your sardines, your trout, things like that. And possibly supplementation. So I do take omega-3 fish oils, and funny, I had stopped it towards the end of the year. Good habits had kind of slipped a bit, but all back in again now. So looking at supplementation with your omega-3 fish oils. And there was an analysis of 17 different studies that found that taking omega-3 fatty acid supplements decreased joint pain intensity. I want that. Decreased morning stiffness and the number of painful joints, and the use of pain relievers in patients with, and it was rheumatoid arthritis for those studies. Olive oil is another one, right? So olive oil is a key component in one of the best and very traditional anti-inflammatory diet, the Mediterranean diet. And it's well known, olive oil in the Mediterranean diet is well known for its anti-inflammatory properties. And in studies, it performed almost as well as the fish oils. Okay, so they were almost on a par there. Another one that came up is flaxseed. Now, I would be including flaxseed in my diet for loads of reasons in terms of health, but think about it in terms of it being another anti-inflammatory thing that you can, consume. It's very high in the omega-3 ALA. Try flaxseed oil. Or ground flaxseed, because the oil is in the seed. Sometimes if you consume the seed whole, you may not be, unless you're crunching it, getting the actual oil out of the flaxseed. So try flaxseed oil. Don't cook with flaxseed oil. It's just for salad dressings and things like that. Now, which foods should you avoid? So those are all the things that you want to be kind of firing in, but definitely we're looking at foods to avoid in terms of the inflammation. Sugar and refined carbohydrates, foods with added sugar, highly processed foods, because they will have these added sugars and added highly processed oils. So you're looking at avoiding those. You're looking at avoiding or reducing alcohol, and certain vegetable oils which are highly processed. Foods that are particularly high in salt will not be good for an inflammatory condition. And you might think about, but don't do that without support and advice about considering gluten in your diet. It can be quite inflammatory. Now, I'm not saying unless you feel that you need to in terms of having a food intolerance to it, but even just reducing it, it is an inflammatory compound. Okay, so all of these type of foods contribute to inflammation in the body, and this is something that you want to dampen down. So you're talking about banging in and adding in all of these anti-inflammatory, nutritious foods, and just reducing all of those other ones. There are some herbal supplements as well that you can consider. That's something that I'm looking at personally. There are things like boswellia, bromelain, there's devil's claw, ginkgo, stinging nettle. There's one called thunder god vine, which I hadn't heard of. Again, I'm looking at that at the minute for myself, and I would only consider these. I'm not recommending them just for you to go out and buy them off the shelf, because you need a reputable provider, but also you need something like that to be tailored specifically for you. So I would only consider these on the advice of a qualified practitioner, like myself, or another nutritional therapist that you choose. Now, I'm aware that I'm not able to cover everything here. I've tried to cover as much as possible there, just to give you a few wee tips and those from my own personal experience. Hopefully you'll pick up a few things that you might be able to change. But if it's something that you'd like help with, part of my service for one-to-one clients is a full analysis of current diet and lifestyle, looking at the case history, both long-term and recent, and making tailored and individual recommendations to help to get you back to optimal health, both now and so that you can live a long and strong life, which is what we all want. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments, and as I say, get in touch if there's something that you think I can help with a bit more, and have a great day. I'll see you back here next week.